Pretty smooth last night. But now it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bounce off again, staying alive.
Oh, maybe finish that.
Back-to-back strikeouts. The Phillies go down 1-2-3 here in the 8th inning. We have played 8, final day of the series. We're headed to the 9th.
Good girl. Lift the bottle. Can you hear me, Nick?
All right, guys, we got Coach here. I'll just go ahead and open up the questions on the 3 signees and preferred walk-on.
Jeff, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me?
Yep, I got you. A few years ago, you said that, or a couple years ago, you said that Laramie might not be the place to get some of these big time transfers and guys from big schools to come here. And that's exactly what happened. Did winning cure all that?
Yeah, I mean, I think winning definitely helps the cause. I mean, when ultimately that's how we're all judged. And for us to have the year we had, to be able to play in the NCAA tournament, and then I do think the over time, my time as as a coach in this profession, especially as my time as a head coach, and then when in recruiting, we don't tell the kids what they want to hear. I mean, we give them the truth. We can show them numbers. As we say, the numbers don't lie. And if you look at us from an offensive standpoint, whether you're a guard, a wing, or a post, the success that those guys have had under me, whether as a head coach in Northern Colorado, here at Wyoming, as an assistant coach at Boise, where I ran the offense, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. The video speaks for themselves. And so I think when, in the case of, the 3 guys, with Jake, Ethan, and Max, is that, when they're coming from the level that they're coming from, having played on, Final Four, Elite 8 teams, and, they've been recruited at the highest level. I mean, they were recruited at the highest level coming out of high school. So they've heard it all. And for them now, I mean, they wanted to make sure that they found the best fit for them. And they didn't need to hear, the recruiting spills that all these guys give them once they hit the portal. And for me, being the lead guy that recruited them as a head coach, and knowing how important those guys were, I mean, the minute they got in the portal, I mean, I was on Zooms with them and really showing them in terms of the numbers that don't lie, and the video that doesn't lie, and how we needed them. And sometimes, people out there, other coaches will tell them whatever they want to hear. And, it's who would have thought 2 years ago where you got other coaches around the country saying, hey, you're not going to play it at the University of Wyoming. They got too many good players. But it just shows you, it's a testament to what we've done in a short period of time. My assistant coaches, my support staff, and I think it's just been building over time, and for guys like them to recognize that. And we also recognize too, and that's the beauty of our guys. I mean, I can't give enough credit to my own players. I mean, they're the ones that, when those guys came on visits, where a lot of times at this level, everyone is viewed as competition, but for our guys to really understand, for us to even take that next step as a program, that we need to improve in. And if you're scared of competition, you're not going to make it where you want to make it as a team. You're not going to make it as an individual. I mean, don't tell me that you want to be a pro and then you're scared about bringing in other guys that are good players. Because ultimately, if you're going to be a pro, you're going to have to go beat out somebody else who's a pro. I mean, there's nothing given. And so, really a credit to my guys, our players who did a tremendous job on the visit and just really opened their arms and made them feel welcome. And that's not the norm and not necessarily always the case at this level.
Jeff, I'm just curious, obviously with the talent of each guy, I'm sure you would want them individually, but given their background and their friendships, and did you kind of strategically target them as a package group together to come to Wyoming?
Yeah, we knew that, having, the three of them having played AAU growing up, and then, Max and Jake played high school together, won a state championship in the highest classification in California, which is really, really hard to do. And then you have Ethan, he was LA City Player of the Year. And then it was kind of the perfect storm. I mean, we knew that, they would like the opportunity to play with one another. And we felt like we had the things in place and the opportunity to really, to give them that. And, brought them all three here at the same time, that first opportunity that we had, because there's a lot of dead period here where we can't bring guys on campus, and to get them here, and then just to show them, what it's about. And I think the thing that really surprises people, especially from, California and other places, how nice, Laramie is, how nice our facilities are. And for them, it wasn't about all the stuff that doesn't matter in recruiting. I mean, they knew it was about making sure that they found the best fit, which people talk about in recruiting, but rarely do they do that the first time around. Usually most guys go for who the biggest schools is recruiting them. And they wanted to be developed. They knew that, they needed to improve on some things. And I think that's the thing that, we've really had to hang our hat on here, whether that's in Northern Colorado, the places I've been, is that we've had to find those type of guys and develop them. And I think that, they got a great foundation. I mean, both those, all three of those kids played for tremendous coaches. I mean, Coach Cronin and Coach Enfield have won a lot of games, played and, made their way deep into the NCAA tournament. And so for them to already have that foundation, and for us to be able to add what we add, has the chance we have the chance to do some special things.
Hey, Jeff, with Mark Rogers being from that Los Angeles area, how big of an asset was that, just, with the connections he has with these three guys?
Yeah, I mean, I just think more so, I mean, him in that position as director of recruiting, and, if you know the LA area, it doesn't matter who you are. I mean, everybody kind of knows one another. I mean, everybody knows each other. Everyone's kind of always been in the same gym, from a young age. I mean, if you're a good player, I mean, that's where you're at. And so, Coach Rogers in that position, technically, he can't recruit, but in terms of being able to identify and to be able to, the relationships that he's developed in the time, from growing up in that area. I mean, that's what it's about. And, I think that's a big thing too with, the NCAA in those positions, is to be able to give a guy like Mark Rogers the opportunity to be at the Division I level, and to, and to be able to do some of the things that hopefully allows him to be an assistant coach at this level.
Coach, what about bringing in 3 junior college transfers? That's not your normal approach to your recruiting, I don't think.
Junior college transfers?
Or 3 transfers, not junior college, but 3 transfers.
No, I mean, we're going to go out and do whatever we can to get the best player possible. And if I can go out and get, 3 guys that have played at the Pac-12 level, who have played minutes, who've played in a lot of meaningful games at a high level. I mean, it's, if I take a guy they'll take those 3 guys at 21 years old compared to an 18-year-old. I mean, I mean, I'll do that any day of the week and twice on Sundays. So my job is, as I told our players, you know, when I met with the 10 guys that we have right now, is that those empty seats, it's my job to make sure I put the best players that we can possibly get in those seats. And I think that's what we did.
Jeff, you went from one of the youngest teams in the country to maybe more on the older side, which those are the teams that win in March. How much time have you taken already to daydream about lineups and matchups and all that good stuff?
Not a lot, to be honest with you. I mean, we're still just trying to push away here, and you got to get them here. And, you know, once we get to the summertime, and I think the thing that's just going to allow us to do is just to play, play a lot faster, play a lot more open and freer, take a lot of, take some of the pressure off of Maldo and Graham. I mean, just in terms of the amount of possessions and, the usage rate that those guys had. I mean, eventually as the season went on, it wore them down. And so I think you'll see, from a style standpoint, I mean, a lot more like my UNC teams, a little bit, year one here, when we had that team in terms of just us really playing in space, really playing off the ball screen. The beauty is you still got the ability to throw the ball inside to Graham, to go get a basket, Maldo in the dribble downs. But, I just think collectively and overall, we're just going to be so much harder to guard because we're just going to have that many more weapons. And then you add the fact that, Jeremiah Odin, I think he's had a great spring thus far. I mean, he's going to keep making strides, and some of those other guys that are coming back. I mean, we got a lot of depth, and guys that have played a lot of minutes at this level. So I think as the season goes on, I mean, that depth will definitely help you. And I think this year it hurt us, to wear down the stretch. I mean, and add the fact that we had a crazy schedule where we're playing night in and night out. But I think that depth will allow us to be better as we make our way deeper into February, March, and April.
You mentioned Maldo's name twice. Do you know something we don't?
No, I mean, nothing that you guys don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, he's going through the process. We'll see what the process brings, but I mean, he's here with us every day. And, I know he's excited about the guys that we're bringing in and excited about, the things that we can do with those guys.
Jeff, what did it mean to you to kind of get a new contract and kind of get that over with and get rewarded for, what you've done so far?
Yeah, I mean, I just, really just excited the fact that, with the administration, with President Seidel, with Tom, the board of trustees, that recognize that, what we're doing. And my thing is that, this is a place that I want to be. It's not like I'm sitting here looking for the next job. I mean, a lot of jobs, this has to do with fit. And I think for me, I've always thought this place fits me, not just, the school, the conference, the community, where we live. I mean, I have 4 kids. I mean, it's my oldest goes to school here at the University of Wyoming. My other 3, go to school at the high school, elementary, and middle school. So I got them all over the place. And so great place to raise kids. And, my thing is, as long as the administration shows that they're willing to continue to invest in the program and continue to make the program better. I learned from Mark Few. I mean, that's why he stayed at Gonzaga when he had a lot of opportunities to go to other places, is that the university continued to make the program better and didn't just say, hey, this is what it is. I mean, so as long as as long as the university continues to show, the administration shows that, this is important. This is what, we want to continue to invest in a good product. And I said, I'm not looking to go anywhere else.
I know you touched on it in the release, but could you kind of describe the 3 new guys? It seems like Ethan's a kind of a true point guard, and the other 2 have some good length and can shoot threes and do a lot of different things.
Yeah, I mean, Ethan's a guy that, I mean, he's point, just a really good guard. I mean, he's 6'1". I mean, he's 210 pounds. He probably needs to get down to about, probably needs to lose a few pounds. But when he walks in, I mean, Coach Bowles is going to be trying to, steal him over into the football field. I mean, he's built like an NFL running back. I mean, he's got a lot of size. He's got a lot of burst. He's a guy that I'm just really excited to really get to start to work with, especially playing in the pick and roll. And then he's a guy that, really takes the pressure off of Maldo and those other guys in terms of his ability to guard the smaller guards in our league. I mean, when you have to go up against the Jalen House in New Mexico, that's just to give him a guy that can, really sit down and guard smaller guards. It just really takes the pressure off us and allows us to be that much better defensively. And then, Max is a guy that when I saw him play in high school, was a top, 75 player of the country, reminded me so much of Chandler Hutchison, who I'd recruited to Boise State. I mean, from a similar background, similar area. They move the same way. I mean, I thought he was a guy that had a chance to, with his talent, to be a guy that legitimately could be an NBA player. He's a guy that, has had some injuries. The other thing too is that these guys have, COVID, COVID is, 2 years of COVID in California was a lot different than 2 years of COVID in Wyoming and some other places in the country. And for them, they had to go, I mean, it was a lot more restrictive in terms of some of the things that they could do, which might have, hurt their development a little bit. But Max is a guy that from a talent standpoint, he's as talented as anybody in the Mountain West. And then Jake's a guy that he's just a really good basketball player. His freshman year, had a really good freshman year. Then Johnny Juzang transfers from Kentucky to UCLA. And now you're sitting there with, Juzang, Bernard, Jaquez. I mean, it wasn't like he was sitting behind, playing on a bad team and sitting behind bums. I mean, he was sitting behind some NBA guys and playing on a Final Four team. And he's a guy that he's not just what, maybe some people think he's just a shooter. I mean, he's a player. I mean, he's got great feel. He's a guy I think can play in the ball screens. He's a guy that allows us to space the floor, especially when you lose a guy like Drake, who made 92, 93 threes last year. To have another guy that when he shoots the ball, you feel like it's going in every time he shoots it, but he just got a really high IQ. And the other thing with all three of these guys is they've all won a lot of games. I mean, they've always won wherever they've been. They won a lot of games in high school, state championships in high school, played on, conference championship teams in the Pac-12, played on, Final Four, Elite Eight teams. And they understand what winning is. They understand what it's like to go into, they're not going to be scared going into San Diego State to play New Mexico. I mean, they've been there, done that. And so I think that added experience and that maturity is only going to help us.
You've had success before with walk-ons at Northern Colorado with guys like Jonah Radabov. What do you like about Nathaniel Talich?
Yeah, I mean, I think, with Nathaniel, I mean, the biggest thing is, especially with walk-ons, is that, I make it to where, they got to know that, one, they got to be okay with not playing. But two, this has to be someplace that, if you weren't playing basketball, that you'd want to go to school. And that's the thing about Nathaniel. I mean, he's got, brown and gold in his blood, with his family and having gone to school here. And, I think this is a place that he's always wanted to play. And, his grandfather's name's on the floor, and, excited for him to have the opportunity. I mean, he's been over here a couple of times and he's quite familiar with, with the AA, and, he's just excited for the opportunity. And that's, my thing with walk-ons. And I've had, a lot of them play for me, whether that was, at Boise State, we had, Jeff Loriaga, Rob Heyer, that both started on NCAA tournament teams that were walk-ons. At UNC with, the ultimate walk-on with Jonah Radabov, but Matt Johnson was a walk-on. Trent Harris was a walk-on. So they know too that I have a track record. If you are good enough, it doesn't matter if you're a walk-on or a scholarship player, that you're going to play. And so, but it's their job to make it to where I do play them. But I do think, they're a big part. I mean, they've played a huge part and huge role in my success, and will continue to. I mean, and that's the beauty of Wyoming, is that you can find some good walk-ons and guys that can definitely help you, especially in practice. But and if they show that they're good enough, they'll be able to play in games. But this level is a little bit different night in and night out than the Big Sky is, where maybe it was a little bit easier to kind of jump in the mix. But the Mountain West and the level that we're going to try to compete at, I mean, it's not going to be easy.
Jeff, just, what does it say about the culture and also just the respect the program has nationwide? Just, the fact that you're able to get, 3 guys in like this and have them commit before they leave campus.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, it just shows you that, when you have the right people in place, I mean, it starts with my coaching staff. When you have great people, when you got a great support staff, and you have all the things here at Wyoming to be successful. I mean, when you come here on a visit, I mean, our facilities are just as nice as the facilities at UCLA and USC, if not maybe nicer. When you go over to the Hap C and you see the training table, and you see all the things, the nutrition center, the barber shop, all those things. I mean, people are blown away because I think they expect something maybe a little bit different when they come to Laramie. They think that maybe the horses are going to still be coming down Main Street and then it's going to be dirt roads. And then they get here and it's completely different than what they thought. And so for us to, as I said, to capitalize on a great season, but I said also capitalize on what the system also is what allows us to, when now you got, and these guys had a lot of schools recruiting them. I mean, a lot of schools, a lot of really good programs. And, how do you differentiate yourself is you got to show them what's real. And I think that's what they recognize is that, that real recognizes real, and they're in a place where they're going to get coached every day. And that's what those guys want.
How much do you think it helped you that you brought all three of them and allowed all three of them to come together?
Well, I mean, I think it didn't hurt. But that was, us knowing that those three guys wanted to play with one another, and us just doing a really good job of understanding that and getting them all here at the same time. And, but then too, once they get here, they have to like it and they have to want to be here. And I think that shows you a lot about them, where they've come from, living in Southern California their whole life, the sun, the beach, the girls. There's a lot of things that come with, Southern California. But, they know they're coming here for basketball, and all three are great students. They'll have their degrees from USC and UCLA. And so they're like us. They're like all the other guys I got in that locker room right now. They really fit in, and they saw that. And they just know that coming to Laramie, it's, that's coming here to capitalize. This is a basketball decision. And so, they'll continue to do what they need to do academically, but, they recognize that, they got 2 years left, and they want to do as much as they can basketball wise, and they want to win. They just didn't want to go someplace where they're so accustomed to winning. They didn't want to go to a program where, maybe I get more minutes or more shots, but now I'm going to lose. They wanted to go someplace where they felt like they had an opportunity. None of them, we didn't promise them anything. We promised them a great opportunity. They didn't want to be promised playing time. They just wanted to be promised an opportunity and the opportunity to play on a good team. And I think that's what we can give them.
You guys good? Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.